Hello, thank you for stopping here, in the midst of so many sounds and movements of daily life. Right now, you don't need to do anything, you don't need to understand everything, and you don't need to change anything at all. Simply allow yourself to slow down for a moment, take a gentle breath, and listen. This video is a quiet space where we reflect on the Buddha's teachings about living in harmony with nature, learning how to release inner resistance and return to the calm that has always been within us. If content like this helps your mind soften and your heart feel lighter, you may like, share, subscribe, turn on the bell to join Zen Light Wisdom, nurturing inner peace day by day in a gentle and natural way. Now, allow your thoughts to settle and step into this space of stillness. In the hurried rhythm of modern life, people seem to have grown accustomed to running faster than their own breath. We run after work, after expectations, after the things we must have, must achieve, must surpass others, only to find at some pause that our mind has been tired for who knows how long. Sometimes the body is still present, but the heart is overloaded. Sometimes the face still smiles, but inside there is an unnamed emptiness. It is precisely in those moments that the Buddha's teachings about living in harmony with nature become gentler and deeper than ever, like a cool breeze blowing through a parched consciousness. The Buddha did not teach people to fight life, nor did he teach them to avoid suffering. He pointed to a very simple path, the path of returning to nature, of living in harmony with the inherent laws of the world and of one's own mind. Nature here does not mean giving up, neglecting, or leaving things to fate. It means understanding the true nature of things so that we no longer thrash about in ignorance and no longer create more suffering for ourselves. Look at the nature around us. The sun rises every day in the east, quietly and steadily. It does not slow because someone is sad, nor come early because someone is happy. Rivers keep flowing, with calm stretches and rapids alike, yet the water never complains that it must pass over stones. Trees bloom when there is enough sunlight, leaves fall when seasons change. They neither resent spring's passing nor cling to summer. Everything operates naturally, harmoniously, and orderly. Only humans, with too many desires and comparisons, often place themselves outside that flow, and thus suffering arises. Living in accordance with nature, according to the Buddha's teachings, first means learning to accept that life is inherently full of both joy and sorrow, success and failure, meetings and partings. When we stop resisting what is not to our liking, our mind naturally calms, like a pond stirred by wind and silt. If we stop stirring and do not try to clear it instantly, in time the silt will settle and the water will clear. Human mind is the same. The more we force ourselves to be peaceful, the more anxious we become. The more we try to forget a sorrow, the more tightly it clings. The Buddha taught that peace is not something to seek outside, nor is it the result of struggle or control. Peace is the natural state of the mind when it is no longer led by greed, anger, and delusion. When we stop resisting what is happening, when we stop asking why life treats us this way, in that very moment, a lightness begins to arise. Some people live their whole lives in anxiety for fear of loss, but that very fear causes them to lose the joy of the present. Some people perpetually chase the future and forget that the present is the only place life truly happens. The Buddha teaches that living fully in this moment, breathing a complete breath, taking a steady step, is already living in accordance with nature. To follow nature is also to understand that each person has their own pace, their own conditions. Flowers cannot bloom before their season, fruit cannot ripen before its time. Likewise, some things require time, some lessons need experience. They cannot be rushed or forced. When we understand this, we compare less, envy less, blame ourselves and others less. The mind then becomes softer, more open, like fertile soil ready to receive seeds of peace. In this quiet space, allow yourself to pause a little. You don't need to do anything, nor think too much. Just listen to the Buddha's words like cool water gently flowing through the heart. If today you are tired, allow yourself to be tired. If today you are sad, allow the sadness to be present. Do not judge, do not push it away. Simply observe and breathe with it. That is the first step toward living in accordance with nature. When we stop resisting ourselves, the world also becomes gentler. When we learn to live in rhythm with the breath of earth and sky, even though life remains full of fluctuations, our mind still has a place to return. From that stillness, the journey of peace in an impermanent life truly begins. Nature itself is the way, and the way is not far. It is present in each inhale and exhale of ours. When we are busy seeking peace outside, we often forget that life is unfolding quietly and fully within our body-mind. The Buddha taught that the path to liberation is not found in chasing some ideal model, nor in forcing oneself to become someone else, but in awakening to and living in harmony with what is. Nature follows its laws. Day has light, night has darkness. Clouds bring rain. There are times when the sun is harsh. The wind can be mild or fierce. No phenomenon exists independently, and no state lasts forever. People suffer not because of those laws, but because we want everything to be according to our wishes. We want the rain not to fall when we are sad. We want life to go smoothly because we try hard. We want others to understand us after we have explained. Those desires contrary to nature make our minds uneasy and life heavy. The Buddha looked at life very differently. He did not try to change the world. He merely showed how people can change their attitude toward the world. When the attitude changes, suffering changes. When the mind stops resisting, peace naturally arises. That is the spirit of living in harmony with nature that the Dharma aims to transmit. Observe your breath. When you inhale, there is no need to force it to be longer, nor worry that it is too short. The breath knows its own path. When you exhale, there is no need to cling, no need to fear that it will be lost. If you simply know you are breathing, in that very moment, the mind begins to return to nature. Breath is the first lesson the Buddha used to teach people about abiding and awakening. For breath belongs neither to the past nor the future. It exists only in the present. Living in accordance with nature is learning to live fully in the present, not carrying the burdens of yesterday, nor borrowing the anxieties of tomorrow. When we keep regretting what has passed, we go against the flow of time. When we constantly worry about what has not yet come, we dim the light of now. The Buddha taught that simply keeping the mind here and now brings us very close to ease. In nature, nothing rushes, yet everything completes at the right time. A flower doesn't rush to bloom, but when conditions are right, it blooms fully. Fruit doesn't hasten to ripen, yet when it does, its flavor is complete and sweet. People are the same. Some things need time to mature. Some lessons require experience to sink in. If we understand this, we will stop blaming ourselves for not having achieved something, stop blaming others for not meeting our expectations. Our mind then becomes wider, lighter, like the sky that can hold both white and dark clouds. The way is not something lofty, nor is it a rigid dogma. The way is how we live each day. When we eat, we know we are eating. When we walk, we know we are walking. When we are sad, we know we are sad. Not denying, not judging, just knowing. That is living in accordance with the nature of the mind. Emotions come and go, thoughts arise and cease. All are natural phenomena. Only when we identify with them, believing we are the sadness or the thought, does suffering form. The Buddha taught that the mind is like the sky, while emotions and thoughts are like clouds. Clouds may momentarily obscure the sky, but the sky never disappears. When we live according to nature, we neither chase the clouds away nor cling to them. We simply recognize that the clouds will dissipate. Realizing this, we no longer fear the inner fluctuations. There are times in life when we encounter adversity, meet people who displease us, or face things that do not go our way. If we resist, we become tired. If we resent, we suffer. But if we see these things as a natural part of the human journey, we learn to pass through them without wounding our hearts too deeply. Living in harmony with nature is not passive acceptance of everything. It is acting with wisdom and compassion, knowing when to strive, when to stop, when to let go. In the Dharma, all phenomena arise from conditions coming together. Nothing arrives by chance, and nothing exists permanently. When we understand causes and conditions, we no longer blame heaven or others. We know that what comes to us is the result of many factors, not just our own desires. Understanding this, we become less stubborn, less demanding, less likely to make ourselves suffer. Living in harmony with nature also means living according to our own ability and circumstances. Do not chase someone else's standard. Do not force yourself to be like others. Each person has their own path and pace. Comparison only distances us from ourselves. When we return to listening to body and mind, we will know what is enough, what is necessary, and what to let go. That sense of sufficiency is the key to the door of peace. There is a simple truth the Buddha gently reminds people of: everything is impermanent. Understanding impermanence is not to be pessimistic, but to cherish. Knowing that things change, we stop clinging and stop fearing loss. We live more deeply in each moment and love more fully while we can. That is a very natural and beautiful way to live. When we live according to nature, we no longer need to strain to prove anything to anyone. We do not need to win or lose, to be better or worse. We simply need to live rightly, live wholesome lives, live with mindfulness. Peace does not come from life becoming perfect, but from our minds no longer resisting what is happening. Right now, if you are listening to these words, try to feel your breath. No need to change it, just be aware. Breath in, breath out, gentle like waves lapping the shore. In that awareness, you will see that the way has never left you. The way is here, in each breath, in each step, in each moment, lived fully with oneself. And when you touch that, the path of ease through the ever-changing life will gradually open, very natural, very gentle, like the sun rising each morning without being called. Human heart is originally pure and quiet, like calm water, but just a small pebble of anxiety, a breeze of craving, or a wave of anger, and that water immediately ripples. The point is not that the mind is disturbed. Disturbance is natural in life, but how we respond to that disturbance. People often fear when they see their mind unsettled and rush to extinguish it by force or deny the feelings. That hurry is like stirring the cloudy pond even more, causing the silt not to settle but to spread everywhere. The Buddha taught that the mind is like water. When water is muddied, there is no need to filter it by hand or exert pressure. Just let it be, and the silt will settle, and the water will clear. The same with the mind. When stirred by circumstances, words, or sudden events, what we need is not to force serenity immediately, but to allow things to be as they are. When we stop resisting, stop judging, stop trying to fix, the mind's natural self-regulation begins. In daily life, there are countless times we make ourselves suffer simply because we do not accept that our mind is sad, angry, or tired. We blame ourselves for still having defilements after practicing, for our heart not yet calm after hearing the Dharma many times. That self-blame is another form of stirring. The Buddha taught that recognizing our unease is already an awakening step. No further forced effort is needed. When anger arises, if we hastily suppress it, it may subside temporarily, but its roots remain. It will find another chance to surface, maybe even stronger. Conversely, if we allow anger to be seen and recognized without identifying with it, it will dissolve on its own, like clouds dispersing in the wind. Awareness is not nurturing, it is illumination. The light of mindfulness can allow negative emotions to transform by themselves. The human mind has a great capacity to self-heal, but we often do not trust that capacity. We think we must do something, fix ourselves, change immediately, or everything will go beyond control. That fear of losing control is a deep cause of unease. The Buddha taught that when we trust the mind's natural process, we become less hurried, less hasty. We learn the art of waiting, a very important art on the path of practice. Some sorrows need no advice, no analysis, they only need to be heard. Some pains need no repairing, they only need to be embraced with present awareness. When we allow ourselves to sit with emotions, not running away, not seeking to forget, we create space for them to settle. That settling is not something we create. It is the natural result of non-interference. The Buddha did not teach people to become insensitive. He did not teach us to harden ourselves before suffering. He taught us to face suffering directly with an unafraid heart. When we are no longer afraid of our emotions, those emotions lose their power to dominate us. They come, stay for a while, then go. We remain like the pond that remains after waves subside. In life, there are times we become bewildered, minds full of thoughts, hearts heavy with worry. If we try to think more to find a way out, we only get more tired. The Buddha taught that sometimes we do not need to find answers. We need only to stop. Stopping is not avoidance, but creating the conditions for wisdom to arise. When the mind is quiet enough, answers will appear, like images becoming clear when the water is calm. Living according to the natural state of mind means understanding that we do not always need to be okay. Some days we are weak, some days tired, some days sad, for no clear reason. All are part of being human. When we allow ourselves to be imperfect, we put down a great burden. Peace does not come from becoming a person free of troubles, but from no longer fearing trouble. The Buddha taught that the mind is not an enemy to be conquered, but a friend to be understood. When we treat the mind with gentleness, it responds with gentleness. When we stop forcing ourselves to always be positive, always cheerful, always strong, a deep softness arises. That softness becomes the firm foundation of ease. One important thing Buddhist practitioners should remember is not to turn practice into a new pressure. If each time we feel uneasy, we blame ourselves for not practicing enough or not being good enough, we create more suffering. Practice, in the spirit of the Buddha's teaching, is the path back to our innate naturalness, not a path of straining to become some ideal image. When the mind is chaotic, let it be chaotic. When the mind is muddy, let it be muddy. Just don't stir it more. Don't rehearse the story that makes you sad over and over. Don't blame, don't compare, don't judge. Just breathe and be aware. Time and mindfulness will do the rest. In that stillness, we will gradually realize that many of our sufferings do not come from circumstances, but from how we react to them. When we change our reactions, even if circumstances do not change, suffering changes. This is the deep wisdom the Buddha wishes to transmit. The mind is like water. If we do not stir it, it will clear on its own. This is not only a beautiful image, but a truth that can be tested in each person's life. When we have enough patience to wait for the mind to settle, we will find that peace is not distant. It has never left us. It is merely temporarily obscured by waves of mental agitation. Right now, if you are hearing these words, try to relax your whole body and let the breath return to its natural rhythm. No need to change or control it, just be aware. In that awareness, the mind will begin to settle. And when the mind settles, you will see more clearly the path of living in accordance with nature that the Buddha pointed to. A way that requires no struggle, no coercion, only enough trust and patience to return to oneself. In daily life, the phrase letting go is often misunderstood as avoidance, failure, weakness, or surrender to adversity. But in the Buddha's teaching, letting go at the right time is a deep expression of wisdom. Letting go is not abandoning life, it is releasing what no longer belongs to us. Letting go does not mean shirking responsibility. It means no longer clinging. When we understand this, we feel much lighter on the journey through an impermanent life. Look at nature to see how natural letting go is. In autumn, leaves fall from branches without complaint. When winter ends, ice melts into water without regret for its old form. Rivers flow through lands without trying to hold on to a single drop of yesterday. Because nature knows how to let go at the right time, it functions harmoniously and tirelessly. People suffer so much because they refuse to let go of what has passed, refuse to release what is lost or no longer fitting. The Buddha taught that the root of suffering lies in attachment. We cling to images of ourselves, to others' expectations, to the past, to success and failure, to comparisons. When these things do not go as we wish, the mind becomes distressed. Letting go here does not mean erasing memories or denying responsibility, but seeing straight that everything changes and we cannot keep anything forever as we wish. In relationships, people often suffer because they do not let go at the right time. We cling to someone who no longer walks with us, try to change someone who does not want to change, wait for understanding from places that cannot give it. Each time we do, we hurt ourselves a little more. The Buddha taught, when a bond comes, cherish it. When it ends, smile and see them off. Resentment only makes parting more painful, while acceptance opens a new door to peace. Letting go is also knowing when to stop in our own cravings. Some dreams, if conditions are right, will come to fruition. If not, they need time. But people are often impatient, wanting now, wanting to be more now, wanting to achieve now. When we do not attain our aim, we blame ourselves, blame life, blame others. That impatience keeps the mind tense. Letting go here is knowing enough. Knowing that we have tried our best in our current capacity and circumstances, and leaving the rest to conditions. Some pains in life are not because events are huge, but because we carry them too long. A passing word, a misunderstanding, an old failure, if we keep bringing it up in mind, each recollection is another wound. Letting go at the right time is daring to set down stories that have closed, even if memories remain. We do not erase memory, but we stop living in it. That is a deep kind of freedom. The Buddha never said that practitioners would not face difficulties. He only taught that the wise do not let difficulties bind their minds. When facing adversity, some grit their teeth and endure. Some complain, some flee. But those who understand the way choose to observe, learn the needed lesson, and let go of the rest. They do not allow one event to define their whole life. Letting go does not mean abandoning effort. Wisdom lies in discerning what needs effort and what needs to be stopped. If we keep walking on a dead-end path, not from persistence but from attachment, that is not wisdom. Perseverance with insight is always accompanied by flexibility. When a path no longer fits, the wise know how to turn to another, not out of pride or fear of judgment. In inner life, letting go also means releasing thoughts that make us suffer. We compare, blame, judge. We think we are not good enough, not talented enough, not peaceful enough. The more we think that way, the heavier the mind becomes. The Buddha taught that understanding where we are and accepting who we are is the first step to moving forward gently. Letting go of imagined perfection is letting down a heavy burden. Sometimes letting go requires great courage, the courage to say no, to leave what hurts us, to live differently than others expect. But in those moments, we practice the Buddha's teaching vividly. Letting go does not make us weaker. It strengthens us from within because we are no longer driven by fear or dependency. The Buddha said, life is like a long journey. If we carry too much luggage, we will be tired. Those burdens may be ambition, resentment, regret, or unrealistic expectations. Letting go of some luggage does not shorten the journey, but lightens it. When the body is light, the mind is light. When the mind is light, the road, though long, is no longer unbearably heavy. Letting go at the right time is also knowing how to forgive. Forgiveness is not for the comfort of others, but for our own peace. When we hold on to hatred, we imprison ourselves in an invisible jail. Others may forget and move on. We are the ones left with anger. Letting go of resentment opens that prison door for ourselves. There is a subtlety in the Buddha's teaching on letting go. Let go without becoming cold. Live wholeheartedly. Love completely. Work earnestly. But do not let outcomes bind your heart. Do what is right because it is right, not to gain recognition or repayment. When we can do that, the heart becomes free and open. Living in accordance with nature means recognizing that some things come to teach us, not to stay forever. Once the lesson is learned, we must let go to continue maturing. If we keep holding on, we will be stuck. Letting go at the right time is how we move forward without being pulled back by the past. Right now, if something in your heart is making you tired, ask yourself, can I set it down? Not forever, just for a while to breathe. In that moment, you will feel a real lightness. From that lightness, you will understand more deeply the Buddha's teaching that letting go at the right time does not make us lose anything precious. It helps us keep the most precious thing, the peace within. In the Buddha's teaching, the phrase knowing enough carries great depth but is often overlooked. People often think wealth is having money, property, power, recognition. But the Buddha said the truly wealthy are not those who have much, but those who lack nothing. Lacking here does not mean having no needs, but not feeling empty or anxious from always wanting more than what we have. People suffer greatly because they don't know enough. When they have a little, they want more. When they have much, they fear losing it. When their wishes are fulfilled, joy is fleeting and soon replaced by another craving. That loop keeps the mind tense and lacking, even if externally it seems abundant. The Buddha saw this clearly and taught that contentment is the foundation of peace. Observe nature, and you'll see the lesson of contentment everywhere. Trees do not strive to grow taller than necessary to survive. Rivers do not hoard water for themselves. Birds eat enough for today, not worrying about stockpiling for tomorrow. Because they live according to natural need, they do not fall into the anxiety that plagues humans. Humans, with minds oriented to the future, often forget that the present already supports them in many ways. Knowing enough does not mean no effort or no development. The Buddha never taught people to live in poverty or renounce all comforts. He taught to strive with mindfulness, to work with a clear heart, but not to let ambition obscure wisdom. When we make effort without being attached to results, we will not suffer, whether we succeed or fail. Many spend their lives earning money, but have no time to live. They exchange health, peace, important relationships, only to one day realize that what was lost cannot be bought back at any price. The Buddha taught that knowing enough means stopping at the right time, balancing work and rest, giving and receiving. In daily life, knowing enough shows in simple acts. Eat when hungry, stop when satisfied, work wholeheartedly, rest when body-mind needs rest. Love fully, but without possession. When we live like this, our minds are no longer pulled by many conflicting desires. That simplicity does not make life poorer, it makes it deeper and truer. The Buddha taught that much suffering comes from comparison. We look at others and feel lacking. We forget that each person has their own conditions, circumstances, and path. When we measure our happiness by another's life, we take away our own. Knowing enough is returning to look at what we have and recognizing that many of those things were once our past dreams. Sometimes we think that if we had a little more, we would be happy. But once we have more, we think we need even more. The Buddha called this the bottomless thirst of craving. That thirst can never be satisfied because its nature is not knowing enough. Only when we recognize and stop does it settle. Knowing enough is also being content with oneself. Many live in self-doubt, always thinking they are not good enough, not successful enough, not peaceful enough. They do not allow themselves rest, joy, or contentment until they reach some ideal image. But that image always recedes as we approach it. The Buddha taught that accepting who we are and where we are is the first step to peace. From that acceptance we can grow healthily. In relationships, knowing enough helps us love without causing suffering. We do not demand others meet all our expectations. We appreciate what they can give, instead of only focusing on what they cannot. When we know enough in love, we stop controlling, stop excessive jealousy, stop burdening the other with all our needs. The Buddha said a content person is peaceful even if lying on the ground. The discontented are restless even in a gilded house. This is not an extreme statement, but a clear truth of life. Peace or anxiety does not depend on external circumstances, but on the attitude of the mind. When the mind constantly chases what it lacks, what it has becomes meaningless. Knowing enough also means valuing small things: a meal that fills, a peaceful sleep, a deep breath, a day without illness. These are great blessings we often take for granted. Only when they are gone do we see their value. The Buddha taught that the wise see the value of the present while it is still here. Living in the spirit of knowing enough, we worry less about the future. We still prepare and plan, but we do not let fear rule us. We understand that regardless of preparation, life will bring uncontrollable events. When we accept this, our minds soften, become more flexible, and much less tense. Knowing enough does not cause regression. It helps us advance steadily. When not driven by blind ambition, we choose paths aligned with our true values. We work not only to make a living but to nourish the heart. We succeed without losing ourselves. In the Buddha's teaching, knowing enough is one of the keys to opening the door to peace. When we know enough, we stop racing, stop measuring, stop envying. We live more slowly, more deeply, more truly. We realize happiness is not in having more, but in being able to live fully with what we already have. Right now, if you take a moment to look back at your life, you may see that many things you are searching for are already present somewhere. It is only because the mind is too busy that we do not notice. When we stop, breathe deeply, and allow ourselves to be content with the present, a gentle sense of ease appears. That is the sign we are touching the wisdom of knowing enough that the Buddha pointed to. When knowing enough becomes a way of life, not just a fleeting idea, then life, though still full of ups and downs, finds in the mind a solid support. From that support, we can continue the journey of living in harmony with nature, peacefully amid impermanence, with a lighter heart and a freer spirit. One deep cause of human suffering is the refusal to accept impermanence. We know everything changes, yet inside we still want the good things to remain and the unpleasant things to disappear quickly. That contradiction keeps our mind uneasy. The Buddha taught that impermanence is not the enemy of humans, but the nature of life. When we resist impermanence, we create suffering. When we understand and align with impermanence, we open the way to ease. Look back at your life. What has never changed? Youth will pass, health will decline. Today's feelings differ from yesterday's. Once close relationships may drift. There is nothing wrong with those changes. This is how life functions. Yet people often refuse to accept it. We cling to youth, to fame, to affection, and when we cannot hold them, we suffer. The Buddha taught that we do not suffer because of loss, but because we want impermanent things to be permanent. Impermanence is not only in big life events, it is present in very small moments. One breath in is different from the breath out. A thought arises and vanishes, an emotion appears and shifts. When we are mindful enough to see this, we no longer fear change so much. We realize that because of impermanence, things can arise, grow, and transform. If everything was static, life would be dry and stuck. The Buddha taught that understanding impermanence is not to live carelessly or pessimistically, but to live more deeply. Knowing everything can change at any time, we value what we have more. We won't wait for an ideal day to begin loving, slow down, or care for ourselves. We understand that today is the most important day, because it is the only one we truly live in. Many suffer because they live in the past. They regret lost things, are tormented by past mistakes, or dwell in past glories. The past, whether beautiful or sad, has ended. If we constantly look back, we resist the natural flow of time. The Buddha taught to learn how to set the past down, not because it is unimportant, but because we cannot live fully while carrying it forever. Others suffer from worrying about the future. They fear job loss, illness, aging, death, not getting what they desire. Those fears steal the joy of the present. The Buddha taught that the future has not arrived. When it comes, it will come in the form of the present. If we cannot live at ease now, no matter how good the future is, we will not know how to enjoy it. Resistance to impermanence is also shown in not accepting others' changes. We want loved ones to remain as they were, children to obey as when they were young, friends to behave as we expect. But everyone has their own journey and is changing every day. When we do not accept this, we suffer disappointment, anger, and pain. The Buddha taught that true love allows others to change, grow, and be themselves. Even spiritual states are impermanent. There are times we feel very peaceful, very calm, very clear. There are times we feel confused, tired, anxious. Many practitioners suffer because they cannot accept this. They think that after practicing, they must always be peaceful and steadfast. When not, they are disappointed in themselves. The Buddha taught that even peace is impermanent. Clinging to a state of peace is itself a form of attachment. The wise do not cling to any state, even a pleasant one. When we truly understand impermanence, we will try less to control life. We still do our best and take responsibility, but do not force everything to go according to plan. We understand that some things are beyond our control, and that does not mean we have failed. It is simply life operating by other conditions. When we stop resisting, our minds relax and breathe easier. The Buddha taught that impermanence is the gateway to liberation. It sounds paradoxical, but when we understand there is nothing to cling to, we cease fearing loss and become free. Thinking we must hold on to certain things at all costs is what causes anxiety. When we realize that whether we hold or not, everything changes, we choose to live more lightly. Impermanence also reminds us of death, not to frighten us, but to wake us up. Death is not distant. It can come at any time. When we truly realize this, we stop postponing important things. We will argue less, bicker less, care less about trivialities. We will choose to live more kindly and love more, because time is limited. Living according to impermanence does not mean we won't feel pain from loss. People still grieve partings, still hurt when losing loved ones, still regret precious things. The Buddha does not teach us to be indifferent. He teaches us not to let that pain become chains binding us for life. If we are sad, be sad. If we cry, cry. Then know how to stand up and move on. That is the only way to honor life that continues. When we stop resisting impermanence, life becomes lighter. Each day is a gift, not a burden. We no longer fear loss intensely, nor rejoice excessively at gain. This is not indifference, but the ripeness of wisdom. If you are facing a change that makes you anxious or sad right now, remind yourself that impermanence is the nature of life. You are not alone in this change. We are all undergoing changes in our own ways. When you stop resisting, you will find energy to adapt and keep going. The Buddha does not promise life will always be calm, but he points out that if we stop resisting impermanence, even when storms come, our minds can keep balance. From that balance, the path of living in harmony with nature becomes clearer, leading to a life of ease, depth, and understanding. Living in accordance with nature is not a philosophy to ponder only in the meditation hall. It is a very practical path to walk step by step in everyday life. If the Buddha's words remain only intellectual and do not permeate how we speak, act, think, and face small things, that wisdom remains merely on paper. The Buddha taught enlightenment right in this life, amid the marketplace, family, work, and tangled relationships. It is precisely there that living in accordance with nature truly matters. In daily life, the first thing to learn is to follow the nature of your own body. Modern people often push the body to work beyond its endurance, treating tiredness as weakness and rest as wasted time. We forget that the body is part of nature, with its own rhythm. Times for activity, times for rest. When the body is tired and we keep forcing it, it will speak through illness. When we skip meals despite hunger, the body responds with exhaustion. The Buddha taught that taking care of the body is not indulgence, but honoring the life that rests in it. Living according to nature means listening to the body. Eat when hungry, rest when tired, work with mindfulness, not treating the body as a mindless tool to be exploited. Following nature also means following the nature of emotions. Some days we are joyful, some days sad, some days unsure what we feel. All is normal. The issue is not what the emotion is, but how we treat it. Many try to appear fine while internally exhausted, force smiles when the heart is in turmoil. That forcing creates a wide gap between the true self and the presented self. The Buddha taught that being honest with our emotions is a form of awakening. Not exposing, not hiding, simply knowing and accepting. When emotions are accepted, they transform. In families, living according to nature is learning to accept differences. Each person is born with a unique character, unique karma, unique worldview. Yet we often want family members to be like us, think like us, live up to our expectations. When they do not, we become disappointed, blameful, angry. The Buddha taught that much of family suffering comes from not accepting that others are not our replicas. When we reduce expectations, listen more, and respect differences, the family atmosphere lightens. Here, living according to nature is letting each person be themselves in respect and love. At work, living in accordance with nature does not mean doing things half-heartedly or irresponsibly. On the contrary, it means working wholeheartedly, but not letting work consume life. We work because it is our duty, an opportunity to contribute and learn, not to trade away all our health and peace. Sometimes work flows, sometimes it stalls. If we accept this as part of the natural process, we will not be overly elated by success nor crushed by failure. The Buddha taught that keeping a balanced mind toward gain and loss is the foundation of wisdom. In social relationships, living according to nature is understanding that not everyone will understand or love us. We do not need to try to please everyone. If we excessively strive for recognition, we go against the nature of the heart. The Buddha taught to live kindly and honestly, but not to place our happiness in others' responses. Appreciate those who come, accept those who leave. Conditions come and go for their own reasons. Following nature also means learning to slow down in a world that constantly urges speed. Fast to keep up, fast not to be left behind, fast to get more. But the faster we go, the more exhausted the mind. The Buddha taught that those who go fastest are not necessarily the first to arrive. Some rush and lose direction, some walk slowly but steadily. Slowing down is not falling behind, but seeing more clearly each step. When we slow, we begin to notice small but real things. A peaceful morning, a warm meal, a deep breath, a soft smile. These nourish the heart naturally and steadily. When facing difficulty, living according to nature is not to exaggerate the problem nor deny it. When things go wrong, we tend to either catastrophize or pretend to be strong to hide fear. The Buddha taught to face difficulties calmly. Problems come to teach, not to destroy us. When we learn the lesson, the difficulty leaves. If we resist, the lesson repeats in another form. Living according to nature also means caring for our spiritual life each day. No need to sit in meditation for hours or do great deeds. Just set aside a little time daily to return to the breath, observe the mind, and release unnecessary thoughts. The Buddha taught that the mind also needs rest, like the body. When the mind rests, wisdom becomes clearer, and compassion arises more readily. In giving and receiving, living according to nature is to give within your means, without compulsion or expectation. When we give hoping for recognition or return, we set ourselves up for insecurity. The Buddha taught that true giving is freely given. When we give from the heart, joy is present in the act itself, without waiting for results. Following nature also means living in harmony with the environment. The Dharma emphasizes the intimate relationship between humans and nature. When we are greedy, overexploit, or destroy the environment, we are the first to suffer consequences. Living according to nature is knowing enough, stopping, and respecting life in all its forms. When we live harmoniously with nature, our minds become more harmonious. In spiritual life, living according to nature is not chasing special states. Some learners seek deep bliss or extraordinary experiences in meditation and become disappointed when they don't happen. The Buddha taught that all states are impermanent. Peace comes and goes. Unease comes and goes. The important thing is not the state, but the ability not to be dominated by states. When we stop chasing, the mind naturally settles. Following nature is living sincerely, not forcing ourselves into a perfect image, not living to please others. Live in line with your values. Speak necessary words. Do necessary deeds with moderation and compassion. When we are sincere with ourselves, life becomes less conflicted and strained. When alone, living according to nature is being at peace with oneself without feeling empty. Many fear loneliness and fill time with noise, work, distractions, but the more they fill, the more tired the mind becomes. The Buddha taught that being able to be still with oneself is a great capacity. When we no longer fear silence, we hear deeper voices from within. Living according to nature does not make life easier, but it softens our heart toward difficulties. We still face tests, still have sad and tired days, but we stop resisting and resenting. We pass through things with understanding and acceptance. That is what makes life's path less rugged in our hearts. When the Buddha's teachings on living according to nature are applied to small actions, relationships, and daily moments, we will see that ease is not distant. It is the natural result of a way of living that listens, accepts, lets go, and knows enough. From that plain living, a deep peace gradually forms, unostentatious, steady, ready to carry us forward on the human journey in an ever-changing world. Each person's life, if you look closely, is not as long as we imagine. Years pass quietly like clouds before the wind. Before we know it, a stretch of road has gone by. Things we once cared for as if they were life or death become a thin mist in retrospect. Worries that once robbed us of sleep and weighed on our hearts suddenly cease to matter. Realizing this, we begin to understand more deeply the Buddha's teaching on letting go and going with the flow. That letting go is not losing, but returning, and going with the flow is not weakness, but peace. Living according to nature, ultimately, is learning to let go at the right time. Let go of unrealistic expectations, of attachments that no longer fit, of resentments that weary the heart, of images of ourselves we keep to gain others' approval. When we let go a little, the heart lightens. When we let go more, the mind gains space to breathe. In that space, each person's original peace gradually shows. The Buddha did not teach people to abandon life, to find peace elsewhere. He showed that peace is present when we stop resisting what is happening. When it rains, we know it is raining. When it is sunny, we know it is sunny. We do not blame the rain for wetting our clothes, nor resent the sun for making us hot. When the mind is sad, we know sadness. When the mind is joyful, we know joy. Not identifying, not denying, simply knowing and allowing. That is living in harmony with both outer and inner nature. A simple truth people often forget is that no one can keep everything. We cannot keep youth, health, relationships, or success forever. But we can choose how to face loss. When we face it with understanding and acceptance, loss ceases to be a tragedy and becomes part of the maturing journey. Letting go here does not make the heart dry, but deepens and widens it. Following nature is also understanding that everyone has their own path. Some walk fast, some slow. Some bloom early, some late. Comparison separates us from ourselves. When we stop measuring ourselves by others' paths, we put our feet firmly on our own. The Buddha taught to know where we are and take steady steps, that is wisdom. Throughout life's journey, perhaps what tires us most is not heavy labor but unnecessary thoughts. We wonder why others do not understand us, why life is unfair, why we suffer more. Such questions, without wisdom, become burdens. When we learn to let go of questions without clear answers, the mind will stop spinning. The Buddha taught that some things only need to be understood to a sufficient degree. The rest should be left to time and conditions. Letting go to be light also means letting go of control. Humans usually seek to control everything to feel safe. But the more we control, the more tense we become, because life cannot be tightly grasped. When we accept that some things are beyond our power, we stop bracing ourselves against everything. This kind of letting go does not make us passive, but makes us more flexible, responding to conditions, advancing when needed, retreating when necessary. Going with nature to find peace is when we stop fighting ourselves. We allow days of weakness, days of fatigue, days of less clarity. We do not despise or blame ourselves for them. The Buddha taught that compassion for others is important, but compassion for ourselves is just as vital. When we treat ourselves with gentleness, the mind recovers and grows steadier. Sometimes in life, we do not need advice or reasons, just a pause to breathe. That pause is not avoidance, but a place to arrange the mind. In that silence, we will see that many things we thought were troublesome are not so big. The Buddha taught that silence is fertile ground where wisdom sprouts. When we release unnecessary desires, we begin to feel joy in small things, waking up healthy, a simple warm meal, a quiet afternoon, a dreamless sleep. When the mind chases afar, we miss them. When the mind is at ease and content, these become clear and living blessings. Living according to nature also means trusting life's process. Not all seeds sprout immediately. Some need time dormant in the soil. If we impatiently dig them up, they will perish. People, too, have phases of rest, waiting, and accumulation. With patience to trust that process, we will not be anxious about ourselves or others. Letting go to be light is also releasing harsh judgments. We judge others when they do not live as we see fit, and judge ourselves when we fail certain standards. The Buddha taught that judgment is a form of ignorance because we cannot see all causes and conditions of another, nor understand ourselves fully at every moment. When we drop judgment, our hearts widen and our understanding deepens. Going with the flow to be at peace is living with the breath of life, not rushing ahead nor standing immobile, resisting the current. We walk with mindfulness, knowing we are walking and alive. Each day becomes not a race, but a path for experience, learning, and loving. The Buddha taught that living this way, no matter the circumstances, we do not lose ourselves. Perhaps one day we will realize happiness is not in how much life gives us, but in how much we can let go. When the hands are clenched, we cannot receive. When we open them, the heart lightens, and what is necessary naturally comes. Letting go does not make us empty. It fills us in a different way, full from within. In this final moment of listening, allow yourself to pause. No need to think more. Simply feel the breath coming in and out, naturally. In that naturalness, there is no right or wrong, no better or worse, only life present. The Buddha called this abiding in the present, where worries about past and future temporarily quiet. If anything remains with you after these words, let it be a gentle reminder rather than a lofty philosophy. When tired, let go a little. When confused, stop. When you find yourself resisting life, try going with it a bit. Just a little is enough for the mind to have room to breathe. Let go to be light. Go with nature to be at peace. This is not a goal to achieve, but a path to walk, day by day, step by step. And on that path, whenever we stray, just remember to return to the breath, return to our naturalness. There, peace has never left us. It quietly waits for us to stop and recognize it. If these words have brought you a little calm, a little lightness, or simply helped you slow down amid a busy life, then that has been a lovely condition. The Dharma is not far away. A moment of listening and returning is enough to plant a seed of goodness. If you sense that peace, let that condition be nurtured. You may stay with the channel as a place to return daily, to quiet the mind, and recall the Buddha's simple and deep teachings to live more slowly, more gently, and more lightly in ordinary life. Following the channel is not for seeking something new, but for reminding yourself of the most important thing: to keep the mind peaceful, the heart clear, and each day meaningful. Each video is a small reminder to stop at the right time, let go at the right time, and live a little more in tune with nature. If you find these contents helpful, share them with family and friends as a quiet wish for well-being. Perhaps, in someone's weariness, these words will become a gentle support. Thank you for taking the time to listen this far. May you keep peace in your heart despite life's changes. And when you need a place to return, the Zen Light Wisdom channel is here, quietly accompanying you on the path of living according to nature, peacefully amid impermanence. As the images and sounds slowly come to an end, I hope you feel a little more calm, a little lighter inside, even if only slightly. The Dharma does not require us to understand many things. It only asks that we touch one truth and gently bring it back into daily life through a slower breath, a steadier step, and a softer way of meeting the world. If this video has brought you a sense of peace, please like, share, subscribe, turn on the bell so Zen Light Wisdom can continue walking alongside you on the path of living more slowly, more deeply, and more peacefully amid life's impermanence. Thank you for staying until this moment. May you always carry calm within your heart, even as life continues to change. And whenever you need a place to return to, Zen Light Wisdom will always be here, quietly waiting for you.